Come on in, come on in, come on in, beloved. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Community Check In. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Come on in, come on in, come on in, beloved. Oh, I love that. I just saw you saying you. All right, got my question of the day. I got my question of the day. All right, beloved, we're coming in. We're coming in. We're checking in. Um, Let me go ahead and go over my little intros. Remember, those of you, if you're not watching this live, then you can fast forward and move to whatever part of the check-in is most valuable to you. Um, what else do I need to do? Oh, please take time to like and to share. In fact, I need to do that, so give me time right now as I take time to like and to share. Oh, there I am. Easy. Thank you for those of you who've already liked and those of you who've already shared. Um, Taking time to like share. Hey, let me just say this. I feel like I need to just say a word about this. For many of you, you may not even, if you're not up on current events, you this probably won't mean anything to you. But if you are, you know that Charlie Kirk was murdered yesterday as he was giving a speech at, I think, Utah Valley State. He was shot, and it has been a very polarizing death because he had a very polarizing life. And I don't, this is a very touchy subject for me. Um, and so I just want to say a few things about this. For those who don't know about Charlie Kirk, he was a very right wing conservative. Um, He was very key to the Trump administration, into the development of the Trump administration's philosophy and helping the Trump administration win. He's very popular for being a conservative, and I want to be clear, a right-wing conservative who helped get a lot of young people on the right-wing boat. He says some very problematic things about Black people, and I want to give two examples so that I can give context to this. One, he said that Blacks were better before 1940, back when Jim Crow was more rampant, and that in a lot of ways Blacks were better during slavery. Now, when he says this, he'll also say slavery was an evil institution, but Black people were better in it. He's also said people like Ketanji Brown, Michelle Obama, and some other people. There's a video of him going around. He questions their brain processing power and talks about them only being the places they are in due to affirmative action. So he says some very problematic things about Black people. He can be considered very anti-Black at times, anti-gay, anti-trans. And there are a lot of white conservatives, and Donald Trump, of course, is grieving and publicly grieving his death. And there are a lot of people celebrating his death. I want to say a few things. I've also heard Black people coming to Charlie Kirk's defense. I have a few thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. I want to just say, and I'm kind of going to be like a shotgun. I'm just going to be shooting stuff, and then we're going to get into this check-in. But I wanted to say this because I didn't want to say nothing about the topic. If you are Black and you support someone publicly who has a lot of problematic things to say about Black people, I think you at least owe Black people an explanation for why that's okay for you. One of my biggest problems with the Black people that support Charlie Kirk, and I've not listened, I want to say this, I have not extensively looked at, because a lot of people I just don't pay a lot of attention to, and Charlie Kirk is one of them. But I had some Black people on my social media who have seemed to support Charlie Kirk. I feel like you owe it to Black people, if you're going to support someone who a lot of people who has come across as racist or has said very problematic things about Black people, at least have the integrity to look Black people in the face and tell them why. One of my biggest problems when I've heard Black people championing Charlie Kirk, even in his death, is they skirt around his racist, problematic ideas. For example, I heard one Black person say, all these Black people are mad, and all Charlie Kirk wanted to do is champion free speech. No, that's not all he wanted to do. That's a lie. That's not all he wanted to do. He has degraded Black people. He has degraded Black women. He has made problematic statements about Black people in slavery. So if you're going to be Black and support him, at least look Black people in the face and tell us why that's okay with you. One thing. Second thing. When people die, I often say the depth of our grief is relevant to the height of our joy. All right. Reggie Smith, one of our members, just passed this past funeral. And one of the things I continue to remind the family, and you've heard me say this, when someone brings you a lot of joy, a lot of happiness in their life, of course you're going to grieve deeply when they die. Now, the opposite is true. If someone does not bring you, if there is no height to the happiness of someone's life, there probably won't be a lot of depth to the grief of their death. Let me say this again. If there is not a lot of height to the happiness people bring in life, there probably won't be a lot of depth to the grief we have when they die. I don't think it's fair to ask people that Charlie Kirk trampled on his whole life to grieve deeply in his death. Now, I want to make this clear. Just because I'm saying I don't think it's fair to ask people to grieve deeply who he's trampled on through his life does not mean I condone violence. Two things can be true. I can stick to my principles of not condoning killing, of not condoning gun death, and I can be honest about the fact that someone who I feel like has trampled over people over his life, I'm not grieving deeply over his death. I'm not celebrating his death, but I'm going to be honest. I'm not grieving deeply over his death. The truth of the matter is people die all the time that we don't grieve deeply over. But one of the things you don't get to do in my mind, you don't get to cause hell on earth and then ask people who you've caused hell for to grieve you in death. Okay? But I want to make this very clear. That's a huge difference than saying I'm celebrating him dying. And I am not an advocate of publicly celebrating people being killed. I'm not an advocate. The last thing I want to say, when we dislike people, we cannot get so consumed with our dislike or they hate that we become what we hate. I am a Christian. As a Christian, even if I can't live up to it, I have to be haunted by the declaration that Jesus tells me when Jesus tells me to love my enemies. I don't always do it successfully. I don't always do it well. But whenever my enemies are in play, whenever my enemies die, I at least have to struggle with what Jesus meant about love my enemies. Now, I just want to say about that. So I want to be honest. I'm not grieving deeply because Charlie Kirk died. Charlie Kirk is also, give me some other quotes about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has said, and I'm not making this up. You can go Google it, find it. Charlie Kirk has said, because he was an avid advocate of gun rights and the Second Amendment, and he said things that are so callous, like there are certain deaths that are worth the second keeping gun rights. He's been very callous to gun death. He's been very callous to Black people. And I cannot help miss the irony that someone who has been so insensitive and callous to people dying by gun death came into that own end on his own. I would hope, although I'm not holding my breath, that this would at least open someone's eyes to the problem we have with gun violence in our country. I felt like it'd be inappropriate with this huge thing going on and all these different ideas and Christians and Black people and just talking about Charlie Kirk if I didn't say some things. So I'm speaking to all of us. As Christians, I do think we have to struggle with love your enemies. I want to see what this says. It's like making the slaves attend the funeral of their enslavers. Correct. We bury them respectfully and we move on with no words of hate that take our energy. I like that. But let me be honest. I don't grieve everyone's death. I'm being honest with you all. Now, I don't celebrate death. I don't celebrate killing. I don't celebrate murder. But here's the truth of the matter is, usually the depth of my grief has something to do with the height of the joy someone brought in my life. If you didn't bring a lot of joy, and in fact, if I feel like you brought a lot of pain, suffering, and was an advocate for pain and suffering, it's hard for me to grieve your death too strongly. All right, y'all, I'm through. Let me say hello to y'all. Hello, Evelyn Ellis. It's good to see you. Good afternoon to you, Dina. It's great to have you. Good afternoon. She says that folk and Pastor Jackson. Thank you so much. Yolanda Ellis Taylor. Good afternoon to you. I'm gonna get to these prayer requests in a second. Good afternoon to you, Valencia Battle. Hey, I like this. Good morning. I like the energy. Margaret White Darby, it is morning for you. It's still afternoon for us. Michelle Gordon, good to see you. Miss Sandra, blessings to you. Gerard, great to have you on YouTube. And good to see you. Hey, Fly English, good to see you today. Glad to have you. All right, let's get right into the question of the day. Here we go. What is a fantasy job for you? What is a fantasy job for you? Go into the comments and let me know a fantasy job. If you had a job you kind of fantasize about, maybe you'll never have it, but you kind of be like, you know what? That would be kind of a fantasy job for me. What is a fantasy job for you? I'm taking prayer requests. You're answering the question of the day, and then we're going to get into our word. I just want to highlight this real quick because I love this. Just left Grandparents' Day at Ladybug School, so I'm feeling so blessed and grateful today, and I'm glad about that. We're answering the question of the day. Like and share. But what is a fantasy job for you? Thank you so much, Evelyn Ellis. I have your prayer request list. I'm writing it down right now. You know what? We have this new notes feature, and I'm going to try to use this. Let's see. Bam. Okay, here we go. That's right. I can say right here and write these notes. I'm taking prayer requests. You all are answering the question of the day. I am taking prayer requests, and you all are answering the question of the day. Thank you, Margaret White Darby. I'm going to add you and Valeria's prayer list. I have it down. Okay, I thought I was. Let me see here. Let's try it again. I'm taking prayer requests, you all. You all are answering the question of the day. Okay. Well, we tried that. That didn't work. Let's just stick with this. You all, I'm taking prayer requests. You all are answering the question of the day. Definitely praying for China's health. What's a fantasy job for you? That's the question of the day. Thank you so much, Valencia Battle. Donald Johnson and Frank. Got you, Gerard. Thank you so much. Michelle Gordon, I don't have a prayer list for you. Wait, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Hold on. I'm going to tell you who I have. I have you, Brian, and Mark Truesdale. So that's who I have. If you want anybody in addition to those three, then let me know. But I have you, Brian Gordon, and Mark Truesdale. All right, y'all. I think I have all my prayer requests. What is a fantasy job for you, y'all? Come on now. Talk to me. George Green, Good to see you. Good afternoon to you, Tracy Dawson. I think I said hello to you, but if I didn't, give me a second. I'm about to. Give me a second. I need a fantasy job for you. Let me give you examples because I see y'all are kind of slow today. Writing George Green, thank you so much. I have that. Tracy Dawson, just in case I didn't say, hey, I think I did, but just in case. What is a fantasy job? So let me answer the question and maybe I'll help you all. Uh-oh. Maybe I'll help you all. I'll give you two fantasy jobs for me. I probably will never take the time to go to law school and be a lawyer, but that's a fantasy job for me. I've fantasized for most of my life about what it might mean to be an attorney. But I probably will never take the time to be an attorney. I don't think that's God's call on my life, but I would love to do it. Here's going to be a very interesting fantasy job, and I've told you all this before. If I could maybe about 4 hours a week, I probably would never get a restaurant to let me do this, but I like waiting tables. I've been a waiter at Applebee's. I've been a waiter at Dugan's. I've told you all this before. I've been a waiter at Pappadeaux's. I absolutely love waiting tables. I like the interaction with people. I like service. I like the challenge of serving people and serving them well. I like the challenge of when there are things that are going wrong, being there and making customers happy in the midst of adversity. I embrace that. So those are two fantasy jobs for me, being a lawyer and being a waiter. I like being a waiter. I love waiting tables. When I have an opportunity to serve at Fellowship of Love in that capacity, I enjoy it. I really do. I love serving. I really do. I like it. So tell me, what is a fantasy job for you? That's the question of the day. Now, somebody go answer my question. Somebody go answer my question. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? Great to have you. Another thing I want to do while we're answering the question of the day, I have your prayer request, Miss English. Hilarious. Have I said, hey, got you? George Green, thank you. I think I got you. Do I have you down? No, I don't. Thank you. I saw it again. I'm taking a prayer request, but you all are answering the question of the day. And the question of the day is simply, what is a fantasy job for you? If you had a fantasy job, what is it? All right, we've got some answers now. Praise the Lord. Let's go in here and let's see what some of your answers are. I'm trying to also make sure I have all my prayer requests. I like this. Yolanda Ellis Taylor says, my fantasy job will be working in an outreach ministry that has unlimited funds to care for the needy. I love this. I love this. I love this. I think that speaks to your heart. Franklin Truesdale to my prayer list. Okay, I'm adding that. I'm adding Franklin. I have that ad, Michelle Gordon. What is a fantasy job for you? This is hilarious. I said attorney was one of my fantasy jobs, and Tracy Dawson said attorney. It is highly overrated. Now, you know, my first wife and Bryce's mom is attorney, and she actually says the same thing. She doesn't practice law anymore, but she absolutely was a big, huge advocate, especially when Black women would come to her wanting to be an attorney. She would be very, very, very clear that she really would make them ask them to really, really think about it, because I've heard plenty of Black women who are attorneys say that it's an overrated job. So you're not the first person I've heard to say that. But I would definitely, if I was an attorney, be a trial attorney, because y'all, I like to argue. I like to get in the depths of hearing arguments and breaking them down and all that. I like that. So thank you so much. And maybe it's fantasy because I don't have to do all the grunt work. All right, Margaret White Darby, my fantasy job would be to be in charge. Okay, I like this. That's a great answer, of a fine dining restaurant. I like this. I like this. I like this. Evelyn Ellis, I miss yours. Here we go. I would like to be a full-time farmer with lots of land and a small house that was energy efficient and a small lake. That fits. That fits. I like that. Y'all, if you're just coming in, we're answering the question of the day, and I'm about to get into this word. Oh, good Lord, I'm running late. I started talking about Charlie Kirk and got off track. Y'all, let me hurry up and get these answers. Let me get you your word of the day and get y'all out of here. My fantasy job is owning my own sub shop. Okay. I like this. I like this. Here's another one: to have to cook for famous people. Okay, y'all, we coming in now. We're answering. Thank you, George Green. Michelle Gordon says, my fantasy job is owning my top notch. Okay, we got a lot of people who like cook here, and I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. My fantasy job will be a wedding planner, coordinating, and okay, you want to do it all. You're gonna plan the wedding, coordinate the wedding, and officiate the wedding. I like it, Jessica. I like it. I like it. I like it. We're talking about fantasy jobs. My fantasy job would be a brain surgeon and a mechanic. Okay, actually very similar. Probably different study sets, but you're still trying to fix and trying to make things a whole. I like it. Um, Tracy Dawson, I would like to own and operate an event center or a funeral home. Okay, okay, okay. I like this, Gerard. My fantasy job is being an actor and comedian. Well, you can live vicariously through Sky, at least in the acting, because that's what I know that she does. I've seen her be act. So I love this. I love this. My fantasy job is being an actor or comedian. I love this. I would love to own a small wedding chapel. All right, y'all. We love it. That was the question of the day. What is a fantasy job for you? Y'all, we're in Love Makes Room. We're in Live Greater, Think Deeper, Love Better, Spiritual Reflections for the heart, the mind, and the soul. And I'm going to try to be fast here today. We've done this before, but it's called Love Makes Room. Love Makes Room. Let me type that out real quick, and then we'll get right down to business. While I'm typing, let me invite all of you this Sunday, 5 o'clock. We're celebrating and honoring our late minister of music, Dale Phillips, by having a night of worship. Join us at Fellowship of Love at 5 p.m. We're worshiping. We're encountering God. We're going to experience some of the best worship leaders and singers and psalmists and musicians in the city of Atlanta. Join us at 5 p.m. Sunday. Don't just meet me there, beat me there. 5 p.m. Sunday, Fellowship of Love Church. We're celebrating and honoring Dale Phillips, and I pray that you would be there. All right, you all. Parenting teaches you so much about yourself. There's so much love, ability, and energy that I did not know I had until I became a father. A long time ago, and when I wrote this, it was a long time ago, but I said the other day I was unpacking my SUV. That's how long it was ago, because I've been 2 cars since my SUV, to get ready to go home. And as usual, it felt like I was moving back into my apartment. Y'all, I was getting all kind of stuff out of my SUV. Backpack, extra bag for books, grocery bags, hairbrush, and a CD was just some of the stuff I was unloading. A friend of mine looked in amazement while I was putting thing after thing in my arm. And as I used my shoulders, I was using my forearms, I was using my hands, I was using my hips to try to hold everything together. Now, just as I had finished my balancing act and was ready to begin my baggage-filled trip to my front door, back then, oh my God, this is how long ago, this is 17 years ago. My 2-year-old son looks at me and demands that I pick him up. Follow me now, y'all. I'm using shoulders, forearms, arms, hands, hips to carry everything. Yes, it will be live, Michelle Gordon. We are going to go live for our evening of worship Sunday at 5. And all of a sudden, as all these things are in my arms and in my hands, my 2-year-old son starts reaching up. Because one thing about a 2-year-old, they don't care what you got. They don't have any concern about your own welfare. All they care about is what they want, when they want it, and why they want it. And usually it's right now. I'm convinced that toddlers are born with the magical ability to discern the absolute most inconvenient time to ask for something, and then proceed at that moment to start making demands. Here I was, literally covered with bags, and Bryce had now decided that there was no possible way that he could walk by himself to the front door. At this point, my friend perceives my dilemma, and they offered to help me by asking to take something off my hands. But surprisingly, y'all, I declined. Because I was so used to handling Bryce by myself, I have managed to find a way to pick up Bryce no matter how much other stuff I'm holding in and on my arms. So I responded to my friend humorously, and in almost an arrogant way, I looked at him and said, I am a father. I've learned how to pick up Bryce when my hands are full. Stay with me now. Stick with me. I'm going somewhere. Somebody should meet me there. Whether it is because I'm a first time parent or because I'm soft hearted, I really, y'all, to this day, have trouble saying no to Bryce. But when he was 2, 1.5, 1, 3, I certainly used to have problems saying no to Bryce when he wanted to be picked up. Call me a softie. That's the truth of the matter is. Even when it would seem like I was swamped with stuff on my shoulders, my forearms, my hands, and my hips, y'all, I felt like I could always manage to make room for Bryce. I believe there's something about love that makes a way. I really believe that when you love someone and something, you go out of your way to make a way. There's something about love that always makes room. I'm about to leave y'all alone for the day. But I want to assure you today that that's the type of God we serve. I want to let someone know today that we serve a God who always makes room for us. Despite the perpetual problems of the world and the polyphony of prayers that God hears, all the dilemmas that God has in the world to deal with, here's what I want to tell you. God's heart always has room for my heartaches. God, stop, rewind, play. If you don't get anything else from this today, walk out of this into the tomorrow of your life, remembering this. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter if your heart is heavy, I really believe this, and I want to deposit this into someone's spirit. God's heart always has room for your heartache. I don't know who needs to hear that today. I don't know who needs to believe that today. I don't know who's going through something today. But here's what I want you to know. When I cry, God always has a finger to wipe my tears. When I call, God always clears a phone line to accept my ring. And when I need to be held, God always makes some room to pick me up. Just like that day some 17 years ago, with bags on my hand, backpack on my back, things on my forearms. But when my child lifted his hands up, come on. Oh my goodness, that's a testimony right there. My child began to lift his hands up. And there was something about him lifting his hands that made me make room. There was something about him lifting his hands that touched my heart. You might hear this Sunday. There was something about him lifting his hands that made me have to make a way. There was something about him lifting his hands that made me want to move for him and on his behalf. And I want someone to know that we have a Father who's looking down on us, whose love can hold us, even when God's hands are full. That's all I've come to tell somebody today, that God's heart is always makes room for our heartaches. Every head bowed, every eye closed, every heart praying. God, we love you today, and we honor you today, and we thank you for who you are and for what you've done. God, today we just want to thank you for making room for us. Today, God, we want to live in the gratitude that we have of loving you, in the gratitude you have of you keeping us, in the gratitude we have of you making room for us. And so, God, today I'm praying. I'm praying for someone, God, that's crying. I'm praying that you'll wipe their eyes. I'm praying today for someone who's calling. I'm praying that you would answer your celestial phone. I'm praying today, God, for someone whose hands are up. I'm praying that you would pick someone up. Someone needs to be carried today, God. Someone has been convinced that they can't walk by themselves. They can't walk alone. And God, I know that you are a God who picks us up. You are a God who carries us. You are a God who lifts us. And that's my prayer for someone who can hear my voice today. If there's someone weak today, make them strong. If there's someone sad today, make them happy. If there's someone in despair today, give them hope. If there's someone who's lost today, give them guidance. If there's someone who's broken today, heal and make whole. If there's someone who's distant today, bring them close. But God, I pray that you would move deeply and diligently on our lives. God, we need you today in so many different ways. Someone needs you financially. Someone needs you physically. Someone needs you spiritually. Someone needs you on their job. Someone needs you in their spirit. Someone needs you in their relationship. Someone needs you in their heart. Someone needs you to help them be more disciplined. Someone needs you to give them a goal. Someone needs you to spark their imagination. Someone needs you to bring out their creativity. But God, wherever we need, we know that your supply is enough for our demand. We come today praying, not just for ourselves, but for people on our heart today. And so I'm lifting today George Green family, the English family, Franklin Truesdale, Markel Truesdale, and Brian and Michelle Gordon. I'm lifting today Donald Johnson and Francis Graves, Valencia Battling family, Margaret White Darby, Valeria Boykin, Sean Lewis, Leon Martin, Ayana Shanta, and Daryl Palmer. I'm praying for the health of China Palmer. I'm praying for her children, Symphony, Serenity, and Shyla. I'm praying for Star Epps Lee and Bill Collins. I'm praying that you would heal the heart of a grieving Steve Sanders. I'm praying that you would heal the body of Kendra Shipman, Angela Smith, Cynthia Smith, Reggie Jr., Alex and Aaron. I'm lifting up Andrea Mitchell, Melanie Dukes, Altoria May, Craig Epps, Joy Treadwell, Julie Huang, Patty Perry, Patricia Perry, Tracy Blackwell, James Walker. I'm praying that you would continue to move in the decision-making and the discipline of Bryce Jackson. I'm praying that you would move on the body of Heather Manley. And if there's a name that I missed, if there's a name that we missed in the prayer list, I'm praying that in your omniscience, you would touch right now. Touch Fellowship of Love right now, God. As we honor our minister of music this Sunday, I pray that you would anoint our evening of worship, anoint our 8 and our 10 worship, anoint every volunteer, anoint every worshiper, anoint every guest, anoint every musician, anoint every person in ministry, and allow us to continue to encounter and experience you. God, we love you today. And we promise that as you continue to move in the celestial, we will continue to give you the honor and the praise in the terrestrial. This is our prayer. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. And thank God. Beloved, I want to thank you for joining us for our check-in today. As we go to our many different destinations, I want to remind you this Sunday we're in the Confrontations of Jesus. That's the series we're in. We'll be here at 8. We'll be here at 10. And we'll be back at 5 for our evening of worship. Y'all, I got to go. But I got to touch and agree with y'all. So I'm touching and agreeing with you, Margaret White Darby. Touching and agreeing with you, Valencia Battle. Evelyn Ellis, I'm touching and agreeing with you. Margaret White Darby, I'm touching and agreeing with you. Gerard, I'm touching and agreeing with you. Yolanda Ellis Taylor, Michelle Gordon, I'm touching and agreeing with you. May God bless each and every one of you. May God keep each and every one of you. And please remember to live in love. Y'all have a great weekend.